Butz.
And I'm Jim Butz.
We're SuicideFantasyFootball.com, talking today about the quarterbacks that you should pick up if you need someone to add to your fantasy football roster week 2 of the NFL season.
Hopefully your waiver wire didn't start already. You got these guys laying around. A lot of teams do Thursday, Friday, Saturday waiver pickups.
Or it's in order and you still got a little time to put somebody in.
Hopefully you sucked really bad first week so you get the number 1 pick.
Not really, because the quarterbacks that are available,
Right, listen.
if it's a keeper league and this guy wasn't picked up.
Yeah, maybe.
So first guy, Jim, Cam Newton.
My apologies go out to week
Mr.
1.
Newton.
Apologies go out to Mr. Newton and Mrs. Newton because I said they were the only ones that would have picked Cam Newton on their fantasy football team.
And Cam Newton put up 400 yards.
Week
Don't
1,
expect
I
it
was
every
wrong.
week. It was against the Cardinals, but especially if you've got a solid number 1 guy, throw him on your bench. You're in week 10 and your guy gets hurt, you might be really happy you have Cam Newton on your roster.
Sure. Or you might have Drew Brees and you picked Cam Newton just as an upside guy, or you pick some other scrub and you want to drop him to pick up Cam Newton so that maybe week 5, if he keeps putting up decent numbers, you might be able to trade him for a number 2 running back to get some points. There's a lot of way to work the waiver wire.
Yep.
That was a lot of W's right there. A
All
lot of way to work the waiver wire.
right, next guy, Jim. You don't like him. I love him. Chad Henne. No, I shouldn't say I love him. I love him as far as a team that's going to suck all year, be bombing the ball, got pretty good receivers in Hartline, Bess, and Brandon Marshall. Fasano is a tight end. Reggie Bush out of the backfield. He's got the weapons. They're going to suck. He's putting up a lot of points in fantasy.
I'm not a Chad Henne guy. He's probably would be number 4 or 5 of the guys on my list. He's not horrible. I guess you could do worse than him. But, I wouldn't really trust what you see week 1
You're going to
from
regret
Henne.
that.
And listen,
We'll
that's the way
watch
it
this later.
works.
All right, who do you like a little bit better now?
If I had a guy looking at the list that we have here, Ryan Fitzpatrick's probably my number 1 guy.
Of course.
Because he's got some weapons to throw to. Stevie Johnson looks good. Fred Jackson's catching it out of the backfield. I think that he's a little bit more set up and experienced to be a fantasy football quarterback. Don't get me wrong, if we're playing real football and I'm picking guys, I probably might want Chad Henne on there because he's got the Michigan pedigree as opposed to the Harvard.
I think the opposite. I'm calling it right now, Jim. Chad Henne puts up more points this year in fantasy football than Ryan Fitzpatrick does.
Whatever.
What about Rex Grossman? You taking a shot at Rex Grossman?
Nah, I don't. I am anti-Rex Grossman. Not because he's 5'9" and could be a hood ornament on teams. I'm just talking. I just don't think he's good. I don't know what
Is
what
it because he
about
took
him.
your boy Donovan McNabb's
No,
job,
I haven't thought
Jimmy?
Rex. Listen, I talked bad about Rex Grossman for years and years and years. He's the only reason that Peyton Manning has a Super Bowl title because he's a Smurf and he can't play. That's it.
He's
a
the
bum.
only guy on this list, Jim, who's been in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, great. And look putrid doing it.
All right, so that's our 5 guys. If you need someone, that's
We got one more guy. We got one more guy.
Who else?
Bruce,
Oh,
my man Bruce. If you're in a deep league, there's a lot of leagues where you can pick 3 quarterbacks. You can have some stuff, and you want a guy because I know I was in one league where quarterbacks were a total premium. There's only 31 of them, and if you can have 3 on your bench, there's not a lot to go around. Bruce Gradkowski is going to be the starter for Cincinnati within 3 or 4 weeks, and that doesn't mean he's going to be great. But if you need a 3rd quarterback, he's probably a guy.
Don't look at Tavares Jackson. No matter what, don't touch him. If Alex Smith happened to slip through, grab him. If Sam Bradford happened to slip through, grab him. If Jay
Not slip
Cutler,
through if he got cut because he hurt his hand. And you don't know if we're gonna
somebody
have
cuts him,
right,
grab
pick
him,
up.
throw him on your bench. Jay Cutler, if he slipped through, grab him. But besides that, these are the top 5 guys that we think you might have a shot at if you need a quarterback in fantasy football. Tell us what you think. Jim at SuicideFantasySports.com, Eric at SuicideFantasySports.com. On Facebook, we're Suicide Fantasy Football, and on Twitter, we're SFFcom. If you didn't sign up for Suicide Fantasy Football, join a free league. Get your feet wet. Be ready for week 5 for the second chance. We'll talk to you later.